Yeah, I thought we had a really productive fall. Happy with where we are right now. Had the opportunity to play two really good programs in NC State and Georgia Tech to get a good feel for where we are in the process, and I think we have a lot of building blocks. So I like where we are, and obviously we have a lot of work, a lot of preparation now in the weight room, in making adjustments based on what we saw this fall, but I think we're in a good place, and I like where we're moving. So happy to answer questions.
Mark, looking at some of the position openings, I don't know if you wanted to have a definite answer after fall, but are there a few that you say that's the guy I'm going to start at first or third or outfield or whatever?
Yeah, I think guys, if the season started today, you have a pretty good feel for where guys would start today. However, we still have many months before we get there. So I've seen a lot of guys struggle in the fall and come out like gangbusters in January and February, and things change. But I have and our staff, I think, has a pretty good feel for where guys fit if we were to play today. But again, I'm never going to just put it in cement, because you don't want guys to get complacent. You don't want guys to feel like they're in a position where they're not being considered. So everybody still is on the table. I think there's more depth on this roster, so we'll have more decisions to make as we get closer.
Coach, just seeing the rise of Carmen into a legit, very top end MLB draft prospect. Did you see that coming when he left for the summer, and what has he shown you throughout this fall?
I think with him missing the great majority of last year, you didn't know what would happen next. That was a big blow for us last year when he had to come off the mound at Clemson, and those things can go one of two ways. Either it becomes a blessing in disguise, or it was the beginning of the end. And for him, it was a blessing in disguise. He got bigger and stronger, went out to the Cape and dominated, and has built on that this fall. So I don't think you ever think a guy, when we got here a couple years ago, he was a guy that was, touching maybe 94, but really sitting 90, 91. And now against Georgia Tech this past week, he was sitting 96, 97. I don't think you ever anticipate that. You hope guys develop, and I think Skylar's done a nice job with him. But to think that he is where he is, I don't know that anybody predicted he'd be at this spot yet.
Kind of a follow-up to that, what does he need to do to become that legitimate Friday night ace, and how important would that be to your club?
Yeah, I mean, everybody needs a Friday night ace. This league may have 8 first-round picks this year, a great majority of those Friday night pitchers. So you need a guy like that can go head-to-head, one-on-one on a Friday night to set the tone for you. I think he's well on his way to being that. Obviously, he's got to continue to earn it. I just think he needs to continue to polish up his pitches. Big step for him this year, besides the velocity taking a big spike, was the changeup has developed nicely. It's not where it needs to be from a consistency standpoint, but the gap between his fastball and his changeup now is where it needs to be, and is now making hitters uncomfortable. And in the past, his changeup didn't really make hitters uncomfortable. Now it is, and I think that's a big part of his development, along with the other pitches. Just continue to get polished and consistent, but he's well on his way.
Did you see the progress you wanted to from a lot of those young arms that you brought in this fall? Did you see the progress from them?
Yeah, and still, a lot of the key guys for us come springtime did not pitch this fall. You're looking at the Peters and the Fars. Bosnick has not thrown yet. Sweat was out. Who am I missing here? Brett Thomas threw very little. So there's still a lot of guys. Brett Carey did not throw. And those are still a lot of young guys I just mentioned there. But I think our pitching's in a good spot right now. I think the overall velocity is significantly higher than we've had in the past. Our strike throwing percentage was significantly higher this fall than what it's been in the past. So I think we're in a good spot. I think they're all improving, the young guys, the new guys. But I think our returning players are getting better too, and that's what you need to see.
Your corner infield spots, you mentioned that you don't want to put any names in cement right now, but is Brennan Malone at third base as close as you have to opening day starter? And did the fall provide you any clarity at the first base position as well?
Yeah, Brennan Malone clearly had a very, very good fall, and he just got better every week. The thing you love to see with your young freshman players is they just get better. And he came in as a highly regarded player, but he's a much better player now just in the last 6 weeks than when he first got here. So to me, that's very encouraging. If we played a game today, would he be our third baseman? Yes, he would. And then first base, I think Wes Clark finished the fall extremely strong, had a great summer, struggled a little bit at the outset. The interesting thing, though, was on paper, his traditional stats, the average, the home runs, the doubles, the RBIs, it looked like he was struggling. But in terms of how hard he was hitting the ball, he was one of the guys the first part of the fall that we could tell off of TrackMan was hitting into a lot of bad luck. And so by the end, that started to level out and balance out for him, and he became one of our better hitters by the end. So I think he's a guy that you look at as going to get a ton of at bats and has a really good chance to be our first baseman. But you also look at Bowen, who can play there, and Beaver that can play there, and then eventually Josiah Seitler is a guy that could be considered as a left-handed hitter over there down the road too. So feel pretty good about both those spots.
Mark, you mentioned some of the guys that didn't pitch in the fall because of injury. Or any of those injuries or anybody else expected to linger into preseason? No,
we're very optimistic that those guys will all be ready to go. And again, I mentioned Carey, Farr, Peters, Bosnick, Sweat, Thomas. I think they'll all be good to go come springtime. And again, you saw a lot of good arms pitch against Georgia Tech, and that was without 5 or 6 of our guys that are going to be right there in the mix. So that's what gives me encouragement. And, assuming everything stays on course, those guys will be ready to go come springtime.
And now that fall's over and guys maybe kind of starting to see what their spots will be, as anybody said, I might want to try my luck elsewhere and look.
No.
You talked earlier in the fall about taking more maybe of an old school approach, wooden bats, that sort of thing. How pleased were you with that this fall, and is it something you might continue into the spring?
Yeah, I think Coach Lake has done a really nice job with our hitters. Just it's the combination. It's just you're always evolving, and we're not throwing the new technology out the window, and we're not going all in on old school. At the end of the day, you need to have both. And so what I think we're finding is we're continuing to learn how do our guys digest information. When do they take things too literal? When are we not working on things enough? Exit velocity is a great statistic, and it's a great way to evaluate guys. But last year, maybe as a staff and then to the players, we went too overboard on that and got away from some of the old school fundamentals. And so that's part of the process as a coach, is learning when things are getting taken too far, when to pull the reins back a little bit. But I like where we are. We work on fundamentals. We haven't gone away from that stuff because the kids still love that stuff and they want to know how hard they're hitting the ball. And even during scrimmages, we put a lot of that information on the scoreboard. I think you guys liked it. Our players liked it. It's very valuable for the coaches. I think our fans enjoyed it. So it's a combination of old school winning things. Hit and runs still win games, and moving runners still win games, and getting bunts down still win games. But it's also combining what we have technology-wise to help guys get better. So I think Coach Lake has done a nice job this fall of just marrying all those things together, and I think you're seeing hitters that are capable on this roster of taking advantage of that.
Where are things with Jeff Hinrich right now, and how has he kind of come along from the surgery, not only physically, but from a leadership standpoint, mentally, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think he's doing well mentally. Obviously frustrated. Kid loves to play. He was drafted last year. He loves playing the game. The unique thing with him is he still has been very involved in our team, and whether it's around the cage or in the locker room or the weight or whatever the case may be, he has kind of an infectious personality, and so guys are attracted to him and gravitate to him even though he can't play. He recently got the sling off, so he's walking around now without that sling. So I know he's chomping at the bit. Everything is on schedule right now, and he should be good to go come springtime. But I think mentally he's like most guys in that situation. He's frustrated, but he knows it's part of the deal. And I think when the season gets here and it's behind him, he'll be glad that he did it.
Any clarity at shortstop? How would you kind of rate that position after the fall?
Yeah, I think, again, if we played today, George is our shortstop. He's an elite shortstop defensively. Still want to see more out of him offensively. Braylon Wimmer is a guy that started the fall a little bit slow and overwhelmed, but by the end, he looked like he has a chance to help us. So I would say those are your top 2 guys right now. There's other guys that you can look at, the Shiflets. Malone could go over there in a pinch. He played shortstop in high school. So there's some guys. Hinrich played shortstop in JUCO, but also during the summer in the Northwoods League. So there's options there. But right now, it's George's position if we play today. But Wimmer has ability and has shown ability and made a lot of improvements over the course of the fall.
I guess Tripp and Mike obviously just switched spots this summer. Just how have you seen that, the effects of that, positive or negative, in terms of just efficiency around the building, and then Tripp obviously getting back on the recruiting trail?
Yeah, very good. You know, Mike is so sharp and so intelligent and so detail-oriented and organized that what he's done in all over the building has just been tremendous. And Tripp Couch is one of the better talent evaluators throughout the country. So it's in a really good spot right now. It's very efficient. I think everybody is in positions where their strengths are really being utilized. So feel really good about it. Feel really good about where those guys are and the contributions they're making. You know, again, it wasn't a knock on Mike. We have the third-ranked recruiting class in the country. Next year's is ranked in the top 5. So it's just, again, we're in a position now where getting this thing where it needs to be is just we need to maximize everybody's strengths.
Mark, now that the NCAA is moving forward with allowing student athletes to be compensated with their name, image, and likeness, what could that mean for baseball programs like you, where college baseball is very important and popular in certain markets?
Yeah, I think that's the million-dollar question. Maybe not literally, but that's something that I think everybody has predictions or theories and philosophies on how it's going to play out. I think we don't know yet. I just don't think we know. What I do know is we as a staff, we as a school support making things better for student athletes any chance we get. Where it lands with the NCAA and the athletic directors, I think is anybody's guess, but we're always for things that help the student athletes and that make this a better experience. So I don't really have a prediction on how big or small it's going to be. Sometimes it's much ado about nothing. Sometimes it's unbelievably big, and the unintended consequences become things you never predicted. So I'm kind of in a wait and see mode, but if it's good for student athletes, I'm all for it.
Also, just want to get your thoughts on the Major League World Series. How crazy is it that all of the games were won by the visiting team?
The first time ever. So I think that says a lot about teams that are that successful have the toughness to win on the road, and we've never seen that before in baseball. I don't know that's ever happened in any sport where the visiting team won every game. So I just think that speaks to the toughness of the Nationals. The Astros were obviously every bit as good because they won 3 games in the Nationals ballpark. So it was just great to see great baseball. I don't know what the ratings were, but I think for baseball purists, you saw a lot of what you love about baseball. You saw great pitching, you saw great athletic defense, you saw the stolen base, you saw moving runners. One thing I really like that we were able to do with our team this year is we have something we call HWA, How to Win Awareness, HWA. So what I asked our guys to do was during the playoffs, watching the World Series, anytime you see a player make a smart play or something a little bit out of the ordinary that helped that team win a game that's not just something that shows up in the box score, shoot it to me so I know you saw it. And so I just think the World Series was great for our team to just continue to learn the game and figure out sometimes it's not always the box score statistics that help you win games. It's tagging up when you're supposed to tag up. It's I got a message from Hinrich the other night about Rendon had a chance to throw a guy out at first or second, and it was a little tighter play at second, but that was the lead runner in a 3-2 ball game, and he took that one, and Hinrich noticed that and sent that to me. So to me, it's just I love the World Series. I love that it can be a teaching tool for our players, and I hope that the nation appreciated what great baseball that was.
Having watched the World Series and participated in it with your team, like you just explained, how much did that enhance your hunger to get back to the postseason and to get to Omaha?
Well, we have that hunger. I mean, you don't have to worry about that. Our fans don't have to worry about that. Every day we wake up, it's about trying to get back to Omaha. So that I don't know that we needed any more help in that department, but it just really gets the juices flowing. It frustrates you in a way because we still have to go through November and December and January before we can get back on the field and make it right again. But you love it. It's motivating. Not that we need it, but it's just if you have a passion for the game and a passion for trying to be the best, watching those teams and them celebrate and do everything they did on the field afterwards, that's what it's all about. And so we want to see our guys being able to do that. All right. Thank you.